Oh no!
Yeah.
I don't get it. It's okay. We get it.
I was like, yes, Lord, come on with the cancellations.
Ooh, we going in it. Now just kidding.
You know, I don't know if you know this, but I'm black. Am I good?
He's with the best of them, and he's one of my favorite men to emphasize.
that entrance sounds like much more than who I actually am.
My guest of honor is a performer and semi-pro dancer that danced for Team Onyx and the San Antonio Gunslingers. She has a spirit so potent that it evokes joy from everyone she interacts with. She walks to the beat of her own drum, and she dances her way through everything that comes. She has served in education for numerous years, and she has left such a great impression on those around her. She was nominated for Teacher of the Year 3 times. She founded the varsity girls soccer team at Dunbar High School in Fort Worth, Texas. And she has served as a sponsor for many clubs. As the oldest of 6 and an honor 5, my guest of honor understands the value of family and the impact of legacy. Today, my guest of honor is Erika Cruz. How you doing?
Hello. Thank you. I feel so humbled, honored. I have no words. Thank you for inviting me.
No problem. Thank you for coming. I feel like this is going to be really helpful for you to learn more about yourself too, because we go through our life and we keep moving, but we don't always stop to smell the roses. So I hope you get your
100%.
flowers in this episode too.
Yes, thank you.
I want to start off by asking you to give me a brief overview of your background. Like, tell us where you're from and where the origin is from.
Oh, so I'm originally born and raised Fort Worth, Texas. And my parents are from a small border town, Del Rio, Texas. So it's about 2.5 hours west of San Antonio. So I've grown up going up and down 35, like every big holiday. Both my parents are teachers. So just education is my foundation of life. Like it really is. And I come from a family of educators. I have an aunt who was an educator, my uncle. I have a cousin, my sister. Like we're just a family of educators. We're just that family. And I just grew up coming to San Antonio. My dad was the Spanish club sponsor at Triple Tech High School. And every year they took a trip to San Antonio. And of course, he always took the family along. And so I just, every year we just knew at the end of the school year, like we get to go to San Antonio, we get to see the Riverwalk. And I just told myself, like, I want that for the rest of my life. And so finally in 2018, I made the move. I went to school in Austin, UT Austin, the University of Texas at Austin, Hookham. So I got
She's a Longhorn.
Yes, I love just Central Texas as a whole. And so I was just like, no, I mean, I love Fort Worth. I really do. But my heart just wanted something else, something more. And so going to school in Austin was a blessing. It was super fun. And then I was closer to San Antonio. So now that I'm living my life in San Antonio, it's just, sometimes I still can't believe it. I've been here, it's going to be 6 years. I don't know how that happened, but here I am in San Antonio.
It moved fast. It went really fast.
So fast. Mm-hmm.
Well, you mentioned our alma mater. Trimble Tech is near and dear to both of our hearts.
Yes, ma'am.
So I want you to tell me a little bit about your experience at Tech and tell me how that kind of shifted your perspective.
Oh, yeah. So like I said, both my parents are educators and my dad actually started teaching there in 1986 and he's still there. So he keeps saying he's going to retire.
Wow.
I'll believe it when I see it. But he's been there. He actually started the boys and girls soccer program there. Like I said, the Spanish club. He's not coaching anymore, but I'm sure once he does retire, it'll move on to someone else. But I just all I know is being a bulldog. And so I got to see like the transformation of tech also, like from the 90s to like, early 2000s to what it is now. So that really is eye-opening just as a person and then as an educator, right? How it's gone from this to that. And I love the atmosphere, the community, the school spirit. I was like, yes, I want to be a high school. Well, I didn't say I wanted to be a high school teacher, but I did say I wanted to be a teacher. So just to be part of that culture, football games, soccer games, pep rallies. I wanted it all.
Yeah. The pep rallies, we used to have so much fun.
So much fun. Like, and
So
we
much
just
fun.
enjoyed it. There was no
Yeah.
cell phones. Like, we were just in the moment. And I
Yeah.
love it. I loved it so much.
Yes. And you said something really, really interesting. You said there were no cell phones, so there were no distractions. We were
Right.
able to really be present and be in the moment. So
Mhm.
I love that about our experience. But like as
Mhm.
educators, we have
Mhm.
to kind of like assimilate that for our students. And I
Yeah.
want to ask you about your time as a teacher to see how
Mhm.
you use what you learned when you were in school and how you use that to help your students to grow.
Oh yeah, for sure. So and I'm a coach's daughter, so I do believe in like the student athlete experience. It always taught me to be determined and focused and really see where I fit
Mm-hmm.
in. And so I've always wanted to, well, just naturally as the oldest in my family, I've always been like, okay, let me make sure take care of everybody. So it was hard for me to like shift a little bit. Like I remember my dad telling me like at soccer games, like, it's okay to be selfish. I'm like, are you sure? Like, I should pass it more. So it really gave me the opportunity to grow. Like, no, it's okay. Like, if this is your power, use it so you can help the team win. And so I took that into
Yep.
academics too. Like, what do I want for myself? Um, and I, for the longest time, I was like, oh, college is the route. I just knew it was for me if I wanted to be a teacher, right? And then so now that what
Yeah.
education is now and the workforce that's there, now I like to use it to my students like, hey, what's your ability? What is what you're good at? Let's find a way to hone in on that and capitalize on it. Because if it's not school, then why force yourself to do something? But I mean, I'm always going to say the beautiful thing about school is always going to be there. So you're 3 years into something, you're like, I don't want to do this. School's right there. You don't have to, go too
Yeah.
far back. So I just like to,
Yeah.
you know, tell my students like just be realistic for yourself, you know?
That's the best advice. Because at the end of the day, every situation is different and every student is different. So
Yes.
everybody has their own journey. And
Mhm.
I'm glad that you kind of encourage them to like figure out
Mhm.
them because being
Yeah.
self-aware is the biggest part of the journey.
Yes. Yes.
It's the
I feel
biggest
like I
part.
was yeah, I listened too much of like what outside wanted for me, and it took me a while to be like, no, what does Erica want? It's okay. Like, no one's gonna think less of me or love me less. So that's always important for me. Like, it's okay. It's okay to go for what you want.
It definitely is okay to
Mhm,
go for
mhm.
what you want. And I think
Yes.
that you definitely have done that. You've done that.
Mhm, mhm,
One thing I want to talk about before we get into your dancing pursuit, I want to
mhm.
ask about, the importance of family connection in the school because
Uh,
you've already mentioned
yes.
that your family was heavy in the school and I want to know
Mhm.
about the state of education and why family connection is important.
Yes. So, I mean, we were always we always me and my family, there was a lot of us. So I am the oldest of six. So somebody was always
Mhm.
doing something and we always supported each other. So I think that's beautiful in
Mhm.
like I never questioned if my parents were coming to a game. Even if it was just one of them, I knew one of them was going to be there and I was going to be at my sister's game and my sister was going to be at my game. Like it was just what we did together and it was just a
Mhm.
default. And so when I see in my classroom like students who don't have that, I try to be that part. And even if it's just when I have them in class or if they do play sports, like I try my best to go see them because it really does make a world of difference because they don't have any there. They don't have anyone in the stands. And so I really am
Yeah.
very empathetic and I like to try to be that light in somebody, like for somebody. And just like it's a teamwork, right? And encouraging also teachers in my department like, hey y'all, if you really are struggling with a kid like and they play baseball, go to a baseball game and tell me you don't see a difference. Like it's that
Yeah.
powerful. So I just try to encourage that part. And then for me, like if I'm struggling with a student and I know that they have a better connection with another teacher, then I go to that teacher. So like, hey, what do you know
Yeah.
that I don't know? What can I do that you do? Because it takes all of us to help these kids. and COVID didn't, help any. So just being that team player is just a role that I'm always willing to play, and it's so important to helping our students grow into people we know that they can be. But sometimes
Yeah.
some need more love than others, and tough love. But in the end, I want to see them do well.
Yes. I think that it's important. Like, it does take a village to raise a child. And a lot of times
Mm-hmm.
the village don't have the same blood as you.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's important. Connectivity is important. And I want to ask you, how could the community be more of assistance, like when it comes to that? Because
Yes.
we
Great
do need to
question.
help as well. So how can
I
we be more?
think
Yeah.
just like, even if you don't have kids, because I don't have kids of my own, right? I like when I was in the same city as my niece and my nephew, I was always involved with their events. Like, hey, when is book fair? Hey, when are end of the year awards? Or even just simple things of like taking them to the city library. That's things that I saw my mother do with us. And so that's kind of what I want to see with other people. If you have a niece or a nephew or even a neighbor who you are cool with, like, hey, why not, let's go to the library real quick, or um just volunteering, at the church, at a library. They're always welcoming to, people who want to be in front of the youth, because it's so important to see people who look like you, who expose you to other
Yeah.
things. So I
Yeah.
I highly encourage, like, wherever you can, read a book with a kid, or you know like I said, volunteer. It really can make an impact, without you even trying.
Yeah. It's
Mhm.
just time and
Yes.
information. I
Yes.
always say they're your currency. That's the currency.
Mhm.
So if you can share those two things, you can like really change somebody's life, and
Mhm.
change yours too. Because I don't know
Yes.
about you, but
Mhm.
every group of kid I've ever worked with, they taught me a life lesson. Like
So
every single
much.
set of group. I mean, every group.
It
So,
gives me, yeah,
um,
hope for humanity.
yeah, yeah, we need it because man,
Yeah.
it's a little scary out here. I ain't gonna lie, it's a little
Yes.
scary. Well, I want to talk to you a little bit about your personal endeavors when it comes to
Mhm.
dancing, because
Mhm.
that's one thing that if you know Erika Cruz, you know that she's a dancer. So
Mhm.
tell me where that was started. Like where did you start out when it comes to dancing?
So I remember when the new stadium for the Dallas Cowboys was being built in 2011, 2010, right? The big hype. And what they announced was, hey, we're also going to form this new hip hop group for the Dallas Cowboys. And at least a handful of people reached out to me before I even knew it was a thing. They're like, you got to try out. You got to try out. I just love to
Yeah.
perform. I was on the step team in high school. I did like talent shows in high school. Like, I love to be in front of an audience. Like, if there's a beat, I am moving. I can't help it. So um I I officially tried out for a San Antonio team in 2011. So when I was still living in Austin, I got the ad on my Facebook, when Facebook used to do that. And so I tried out for the WNBA team at the time, which is no more, sadly. But I tried out for them first, then the
Yeah.
Spurs, and then so from 2011 to 2017, it was just audition after audition after audition. And I was like 21, 22 at the time. And in the dance world, that's a little bit older, like almost too old. So, because I'm competing for with girls who are fresh out of high school, who have like 4 years of dance or more under their belt, and I'm self-taught. I grew up playing soccer, so I can follow a beat. Like, I could do that. I could smile real big. So it was definitely a lot of trial and error and a lot of extra um dance classes on my own, and just trying to make it work. And it wasn't until 2016 I landed my first training camp in Dallas. Didn't make that team. Another training camp made that team, but then got cut. But then that team didn't even have a season because of they didn't have enough funds. So I was like, okay, it's fine. And then finally I was like, I'm done trying to, like, because there is a lot of DFW semi-pro teams. Like, you name it, they got a team for it. And if they have a team, they have a dance team. And so I was just auditioning. And I was like, okay, I think I'm ready to go to San Antonio. And just, like, for 3 summers, I would try out for Silver Dancers in San Antonio. And I remember one summer I went to a prep class and she was like, oh, you were on the team last year, right? And I was like, no. I was like, but thank you for thinking that, because I just had the look. Like, every, it is a look. Like, they say it's dance, but it's also a look. So, just trying to fit the mold, but trying to stand out, it's a really hard balance. And so, I was like, no, I got to do it. If I don't move to San Antonio, it's never going to happen. And so 2018, I finally make the move, but they're like, oh, we're done with Silver Dancers. We want something more family friendly. And so I was like, okay, well, let me, there was still a girl who danced for the Spurs, and I followed her on Facebook. She was like, hey, come try out for this hip hop team. I was like, sure. Like, I love, that's my favorite anyways. Ended up making that team, but competitive hip hop is completely different from, semi-pro dance. So it was a good foundation for sure to build on. And so San Antonio Spirit, shout out to them. Super, like, also family. So, like, the team that I made there, like, we're still close. Like, we're still friends. So another, like, I just love how teams can create that family and sportsmanship, right? It's a really cool, connection. So I danced for them for a year, and then I was like, okay, I'll try out for Spurs, but it wasn't for me. And so I see this new team. I was like, San Antonio Gunslingers, arena football. Like, when did San Antonio get a football team? So I was like, okay, just try it. I'll just try it. And it was COVID time, so you had to do, like, the virtual audition piece. So you had to record yourself, and I was really nervous because I was COVID, everybody gained weight, or I know I did. And so I was, like, really nervous. I hadn't danced for a while, but they're like, no, you have so much potential, like, come. And I was like, okay, say less. And so I danced for them for a year, and then took a year off to get my master's, and then did one more year. So I just finished my second year. And San Antonio, man, these fans out here, they are unmatched. Like, it could be San Antonio, I don't know, but they will show up in numbers. So it really is, like, a cool feeling to be around fans and just watching arena football that goes really, really fast. So it was, I still can't believe, like, it happened, and we get to do, like, appearances, and I'm, like, on the Riverwalk or at, downtown San Antonio. So it's just like, it's beautiful.
The crazy thing is, you would never have experienced that if you didn't take the leap and move to San Antonio.
Man, never. I still would have been in Fort Worth.
Sometimes it takes that leap of faith, though, so you can have that thing unlocked. Yeah.
And just trust in it and believe in it, because I moved to San Antonio without a job. But I was like, no, if I don't go, like, it doesn't matter. It's going to happen. And so I'm just trusting the process. It's really hard. Some days it's harder than others, but just like, no, this is, like, in my heart, I can feel it. So it must be true. And just all the shifts that I also took in my career, like, trying to reach that dance dream, was almost, like, would almost beat me, but I'd be like, nope. But, like, I didn't come all this way just to cry back to Fort Worth. Like, I'm not doing that. So it really is just that sacrifice and the patience and, praying about it. I prayed so much about it. Like, is this right for me? If it isn't, okay. But that was never the answer. It was just, okay, just work through this one piece.
it sounds like you had the faith and like regardless of what anyone said, like you knew in your heart of hearts. So it's almost like faith without works is dead, and you had to go do the work. You
Yeah.
just had to continue
Yeah.
to do the work,
I had to
and
do
God
my
was going
piece.
to
Yeah.
show up for you.
All the time.
What does God mean to you? What role does he play in your life? Because it's clear that he's had his hand on you the whole time.
Yes. Yes. Well, just growing up, you know, with my mom, the way she talked about God, and just when we would go to the family functions, right? It's just you just got to believe is really what it was, because it was a lot of the times it was in Spanish, and like my Spanish is not the greatest, but I can understand the most of it for most parts. So just like I just knew that I had to like believe. And so anytime I called my mom crying, she was like, "No, mija, like you need to pray about it. You need to pray about it." And I would struggle because I was like, "No, I want this now, and I want answers now." And she's like, "No, like you need to pray about it." And so she really helped me keep grounded. And so just, you know, my relationship with God is just like very personal. I'm definitely, you know, not the one who goes to church every Sunday, but like I know that it's all because of him. It's not just me, right? So I just I honestly do just pray about like patience and um that like advice, like let me know, and then just listening, because that's the hard part for me is listening. I always want the answers and to tell myself the answers, but no, I have to listen and wait. And so, and it always works out.
That track record is strong. Like when you
Exactly.
look back over your life, the track record will tell you everything that you need to know. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's always there, and
Mm-hmm.
he just wants us to be at the best in the best space to receive it. Even though we think we're ready, we may not be ready for all that
Right.
comes with it.
Man.
So
Whew,
yeah, I'm glad that he
that's
made you
real.
wait, and he gave you
Yes.
what you wanted. So
Yes. I pray
you
about like I feel so blessed every day.
you should. You
Mm-hmm.
should. I mean, but you had to say yes and you had to do your part. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just a beautiful thing to see him give you the reward. Like
Mm-hmm.
after being persistent for so long. You literally just told me about 3 or 14 like a span of years. This wasn't like a day
Yes.
or a week.
No.
It was years. Like, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So and then to be in this type of field where you hear rejection a lot, you know, that can
Yes.
take a toll on you as well. Just trying to keep your spirits up and keep moving. Because believing,
Mm-hmm.
you can believe and still not be waiting well.
Right.
So
Mm-hmm.
it takes a toll on you. But I wanted to ask you about your teammates. You said earlier that you know you're all still close. So can you
Mm-hmm.
tell me like how you were able to build that foundation? Because it is an instant family. But can you tell me
Right.
how you were able to build that foundation where you're still close like you are?
Yeah, so like leaving San Antonio and leaving my best friends, leaving my family, leaving my niece and nephews, like that was hard. And a big reason I didn't leave Fort Worth for so long because I love being at Thea. I love being
Yeah.
able to take them out on the weekends or, you know, celebrate their birthdays at Cece's. Like I'm leaving that. And so I was
Yeah.
really sad for a long time until like we broke that mold of the team of like, you know, just beyond teammates, beyond dance practice. And so the funny thing is there was not one, not two, but three Ericas on the dance team. And so I was like, no, I naturally go by Cruz anyways, just like call me Cruz. And so that helped me feel in my element again because hardly anyone calls me Erika. And like even as a teacher, we all call each other by our last names, like, hey, coach, or, you know, Cruz. Like it was never, not in a bad way, but it's just how it is. And so once one of the girls was a former civil dancer, the other girl was also a teacher. And so just naturally, they were just people who had the same drive as me. And so I think that's so important too, to surround yourself with those who match your energy or can make you better. And so these two made me better. They wanted me, like they pushed me to my limits to not only be a better dancer, but like just like overall a better person. And so I'm like I'm best friends with like a silver dancer. Like that's just like a big thing for me because I couldn't like be that myself. I kind of feel like I am in a weird way. And she didn't freak out that like I had stalked her before on her Instagram or anything, so that was cool. Because like I'm telling you, I wanted to be a silver dancer so bad, and I, and part of me still wants it, and no, it's not gonna happen. But like, I still fulfill that part of me of like, you still have San Antonio and dance, and that's the bulk of it. And so, like, these are
Yeah.
girls that I stood in one of their weddings, and like they're my sisters here now. So like I know I can turn
Yeah.
to them
Yeah.
whenever I need something. And vice versa, we've helped each other with other things outside of dance after we finished the team. So it really is exciting to like have new friendships because as you get older, you're like, oh, I'm good with my friends, right? And oh, like this is it. That's cool. And I have a lot of sisters, so I'm fine. But they taught me like this friendship, like because I forgot for a little bit, like new friends and like why. But I, it helps me feel like San Antonio is home for me because for a little while it still felt like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm on vacation. I'm on vacation. But no, they made me feel like, no, this is where you belong and welcome to San Antonio.
That's beautiful. I'm so glad that you found your tribe down there because
Yes.
community is so important. And I know you leaving your family, being so tight knit, like closely knitted like that, it's hard to like manage. So as you continue to live in San Antonio and build your life, how are you still able to connect and pour into your family here? Like, how do you manage that?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I do have an aunt that lives in Divine. So it's like 30 minutes south of San Antonio. So that's my mom's sister. So my mom was retired for a little bit. And so she would drive back and forth from Del Rio to Fort Worth. So she would always visit me. So I would see her a lot. And then now I get to see like my family in Del Rio a little bit more because it's a lot closer than driving all the way up 35. So but my family is also used to driving so much. So if I'm not meeting them in Del Rio, then I'm meeting them in Fort Worth or they're meeting me in San Antonio. And thank God for FaceTime. Like me and my sisters, we try to catch up when we can. I call my mom every day on the way home from work. Like she helps me keep grounded. Like till this day, she's still reminding me, like, make sure you pray about it. Make sure you pray about it. Like she's like, okay, I'll light a candle for you. And like and like I'll tell her a story about like somebody else, like one of my students. She's like, okay, I'll light a candle for them. Like it's just it feels good to know like there's no resentment, like no one makes me feel bad for leaving. And then like I had my niece for 2 weeks over the summer, so it's an opportunity for us to spend even more time together, and we value it just as much. I mean, we always did, but now it's like even more precious. I mean, I have a sister right now in stationed in the Army in Washington State. So like we really do try to make time for each other, and whenever she's in Texas, I got to be there. Like, so we really do just would do what we can and just remind each other like, hey, quick text, like I saw this, reminding you of you, I love you, I miss you, I'm proud of you. Like just words of affirmation. And even when I'm in a funk and I know they can't answer, they're going to get to me when they can. So that support is still there. And so thank you for reminding me of that, because like it's hard sometimes. Like, everyone does see the post of like how great it is, but we don't always post of like how hard it is. And so it really does. And it like you said, it can tire you down. It can beat you up, but you have to remember, okay, this was just a bad day. Leave it there and learn from it. And now I'm stronger. I'm starting from experience. So yeah, the connection's always there.
Yeah. That's great. I'm so happy to hear that, and that you don't have any resentment about it, or they don't have
Mhm.
resentment about it.
No.
Because the hardest thing for people to do is leave their
Yes.
familiar territory,
Mhm.
or like their families. And some families aren't as supportive. They want you to
Mhm.
stay here
Mhm.
because of maybe they need your assistance, or
Right.
they want you to
Mhm.
stay close because they're scared for you. So I'm
Mhm.
glad that your family released you and let you spread your
Mhm.
wings, because now
Yes.
your nieces and your nephews are gonna know that it's possible.
Mhm. It's possible,
It's
yes.
legacy. It,
Yes.
yeah, it adds to
100%.
that Cruz legacy.
Yes. There's a lot of
uh,
us.
so, with you being a teacher, I want to
Mhm.
know what you would say your standards are. What would you say is your ultimate life standards?
So integrity is big for me. It's the one thing I start the year with, especially now when students are like the end of the year. Like you need to be honest with yourself and
Mm-hmm.
you know own up to your mistakes. Accountability. So integrity, accountability, determination, like as an English teacher, I'm just trying to find the right words. So like integrity, accountability, and just dedication, right? If you're
Mm-hmm.
building on that, everything else will fall into place. Everything else.
Yeah.
Even when you think you have not made two steps forward, one day you just wake up and it happens because you have to believe in the process because you're dedicated to this dream or you're dedicated to this position or purpose, right? And so I think the
Mm-hmm.
hardest part for me, because I also was trying to build this foundation at Dunbar, I didn't want to leave that either, but I couldn't stand in
Mm-hmm.
front of students saying reach for your dreams when I wasn't even going after mine. So that was
Yeah.
another hard part because, Dunbar was doing such great things and they've really built on their momentum over the years. And I just look back at it and say, like, I'm so glad, like, soccer is there and that, um, the pep rallies, what they look like now, right? And it's still, like, it's still
Yeah.
there. It's never, like, it's just going to keep getting better. And so, like you said, the hardest part is leaving and then just trusting that it's going to work out. Like if that's what you want, the small things aren't shouldn't hold you back, right? It is going to end
Yeah.
up working out. So just, yeah, dedication, pushing forward on the days you don't want to.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Mhm.
You've left your imprint on so many things, and the fact
Mhm.
that you can look back and see where God allowed you to place your hands and it's still actively growing,
Yes.
that's the greatest
Yes.
gift that you could ever have, because you can actively
Yes.
see it growing.
Mhm.
Um, and I know that you've had to like endure a lot of times where you had to grieve the life that you thought you would have.
Oh,
But the
yes.
moment you release the way it looks, the way it
Mhm.
looks, you've been able to build this new life, and it's still the same thing that you wanted, but just in a different frame. So
Yes,
I'm
exactly
super
like
proud
that.
of you for continuing to
Oh,
push.
thank you.
So
Yes.
proud of you.
Yeah, you think you may have a plan, but it's not always your plan. So just
It's
understand that
never our plan.
it's never our plan. It's never our plan.
We just vessels. We just here,
Yes. Mhm.
God, like, all
Mhm.
right, I pick you. This is what I
Mhm.
want you to do. And you like,
Mhm.
okay.
Yes. Yep.
But yeah. I'm glad that you followed your heart though, because now
Yes.
you're living it out. Like the inside is
Yes.
on the outside now, so that's the
Mhm.
beautiful part of seeing it. And your light is very
Yes.
bright. It's different.
Oh, thank you. Mhm.
It's different when you follow it. So
Yes,
yeah, I'm
100%.
very grateful to have witnessed this and see that. And if I want to ask you one more question,
Yes.
if you knew then what you know now, would you change anything?
Uh no, I don't think so because another thing that I also pride myself in is trusting the timing of my life. And I think you kind of hit on it
Mm-hmm.
earlier. Like, I remember, and this is just for anyone who might be going through it, like, I remember seeing my friends getting married or my friends having kids or, everyone accomplishing these other things. And it made me feel like I wasn't getting anywhere. But then I would sit down with
Mm-hmm.
myself and say, but look at what you've done, Erica. Remember when you thought you weren't even going to graduate UT? Remember when you thought you couldn't, be a teacher? You got nominated Teacher of the Year. Remember when you thought you couldn't win a soccer game? Y'all won a soccer game. Like, so it really is another thing to like own your story, right? Like, I
Mm-hmm.
can't compare my chapter 7 to somebody else's chapter 18. That is, I am hurting myself. And so
Yeah.
I had to trust the timing of myself. And the minute I did that, that's how I got to training camp. That's how I got to be on San Antonio Gunslingers. The minute I told myself,
Mm-hmm.
if I want it, it belongs to me. If I work hard, it belongs to me. I don't care if I'm 31, 33, 30, 300. If I want to be on a dance team and I work my ass off, I'm going to do it. So I
absolutely.
really do believe in trusting the timing of your life.
That's beautiful. That makes me so happy.
Yes.
Well, on that note, we're gonna wrap it up on that one because that's a bar in itself. We're gonna leave it there. But I appreciate you coming on and speaking to us. I hope that whoever hears this can really like trace your footsteps in the sand and know that they can do it too. And I'm just super excited for your future.
Yes, thank you so much. I love watching and hearing all your connections as well. It's like, oh, I want to inspire people too. Let me go try.
You've been doing that, so it does not go unnoticed.
You're right.